Howdy everyone, my name is Gage Kiesler and this is my final project. Do you believe in miracles? Said by Al Michaels. So, this can be the analysis of the performance of commentator Al Michaels during the 1980 Olympic hockey game between the US and the Soviet Union. So, just to get into some basic information here, so this is Al Michaels right here. He's a well-known sports commentator. And this is him at the Winter Olympics, which in 1980, which took place in Lake Placid, New York. And here's just a little short video on the quote I just referenced. Let's go to the...
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles?
Still gives me chills hearing it, not gonna lie. It's arguably one of the greatest sports calls in the history of commentating, history of sports. So here's a little background of this performance. So this was not your typical hockey match, Olympic hockey match. This was a match between Team USA and the USSR, Russia, and it was the Soviet Union at the time. So the USSR won every gold medal since 1954, and they were deemed one of the greatest hockey teams to ever put skates on ice. The U.S. hockey team was full of players who only had collegiate experience in the sport. The average age on the U.S. team was 22. So, a miracle happened, though. The U.S. ended up beating the USSR in the most shocking upset in sports history. And Al Michaels had the opportunity to commentate this game play by play, and his performance as a commentator is deemed the greatest commentation by many sports fans and journalists. So let's analyze Michael's use of performance and place, and I wanted to focus on like his use of national identity, but Michaels honestly uses a lot of elements to really enhance his performance, and it's what makes it great. So the performance of Michaels in his commentation was heavily centered around his voice being loud and clear, and his performance as a commentator complemented the game itself exceedingly well, considering he talked about positivity in America, because at the time, America's level of patriotism was low. It was just a really rough time in 1980 for Americans, especially with Russia invading Afghanistan, and a lot of short snippets of history I could reference, and it was just a rough time in America. But he still just maintained a positive attitude throughout his whole performance, and definitely made you want to listen to him more. And it's also important to remember that as a commentator, you're not really, your face is not really seen. So you could be heavily ignored by a lot of people, and not even really, you never remembered. But Michael's this performance of performance of being commentator was surely remembered. So performance resembled and consisted of political phenomenon going on in the world. I mentioned that just a second ago. Yeah, like I said, Russia invaded Afghanistan, and that was kind of a huge political phenomenon going on. And Michaels he sort of referenced it, but shied away because once again he knew the national identity. He knew where he was at. They were in America, so. And once again, there was no live audience, but millions listening, obviously. So that counts as, with millions listening, he definitely had an audience, and an audience of a lot of people, considering that, once again, Russia was a great hockey team, and USA was not expected to win, and ever since people thought, wow, USA could win this, millions were listening. So this is what you should know. So obviously Michaels knew the significance of the place, like I said. The game was in America. He knew the place. He knew what this meant to the country, and he also knew the performance of current political leaders of both countries was not the greatest. This was obviously, once again, more history lessons. This was like This was around the time of the Watergate, of President Nixon. So once again, the performance of our political leaders was not the best. Morale in America was low, and performance of Russian leaders was not very well either. So Michaels embodies his patriotism throughout the whole performance, and he, once again, like I said, uses place to emphasize his performance. And here's some connection to course topics. So we've discussed all year long, what is performance? Does it need an audience? Does it have to be good? This event and performance relate to a wide variety of elements. It can relate to just embodiment of a culture, because Michaels embodies a lot of American culture as he's performing. Michael's performance confirms that commentating is a performance, whether you're seen or not, or he's got to be heard from. It just has to make an impact almost. Michael's performance complements pack-back arguments we've had, defining performance, and much more. Like so many pack-back arguments consisted of: is this performance? What is this? What is this? Can this be performance? And this performance of Michael's complements a lot of them. So what should you take away from this? Performance can be anything, as long as the person performing understands the elements of embodiment, place, and even national identity. Michael's face, once again, was hardly even shown at the time of his great performance, but still made an impact on his own by using these elements. So, all it can take is one performance of even your voice to achieve a miracle. Thank you so much for listening.